When objectivity became center stage, it was crucial to cleanse a reporter and a publication from any affiliation to a political party or issue. In Just the Facts, Justin Mindich writes that in the 1890s, objectivity became codified as the great law of journalism. Before this, journalists were brick-walled from discussing both sides in politics because funding to publications would come from one party. This became the era of professional journalism, which led to many ethics codes being developed in media environments. With this initial trend, journalists took pride in being objective and were applauded for taking on a role that is loyal to the facts.
Fairness doctrine, or the so-called fairness doctrine, is a clear and bald-faced attack on free speech.
In the Fairness Doctrine, it states that a publication must disclose if they are an advocate when writing partisanship or opinion. If they are going to use an opinion in a piece, they must acknowledge it. The Reagan administration's repeal for the Fairness Doctrine in 1987 has allowed media networks and journalists to take sides, which in turn relieved the journalistic duty of distinguishing fact from opinion. Upon this, a rapid change in reporting took place in 1990, where commercial media outlets became more yellow or one-sided. Some media outlets remain true to the original standards, but in the age of social networking and changed values of the media, there is a need for nonpartisan reporting, such as at National Public Radio. NPR has taken an objective stance on reporting, unlike the trend of many other media publications. Employees are required to conduct themselves in a way that doesn't contaminate the neutrality of their work. Due to the importance of this code, violations of it constitute means of discipline, including dismissal. Such violations can include something like withholding information concerning unethical conduct. All managers have responsibilities for the performance of their staff and also for making sure that their staff is aware of the code and are sensitive to ethical issues in the field. Producers of outside programs acquired by NPR should also apply these neutral ethical principles and measures to the production of these programs. With social networking, yellow journalism, and opinionated media on the rise, NPR maintains these standards for its journalists despite criticism to the contrary. Ethical policies are used to protect employees and employers from any situations that may affect the workers and the company negatively. Without these policies, there would be a hailstorm of liabilities for a company to worry about. NPR's policy is strict when it comes to expressing personal opinions, especially when working on a political story or show. NPR's Juan Williams deserved his termination when on a political show he expressed his opinion on Muslim passengers when boarding a plane.
Look, Bill, I'm not a bigot. You know the kind of books I've written about the civil rights movement in this country. But when I get on a plane, I got to tell you, if I see people who are in Muslim garb, and I think, they're identifying themselves first and foremost as Muslims, I get worried. I get nervous.
With the reins being tightened on NPR by conservative organizations, it is clear that they must keep these policies intact.
I think it's quite revealing of what the agenda there at NPR has been all these years, and it's kind of refreshing to see some proof of that. NPR, National Endowment for the Arts, National Endowment for the Humanities, all those kind of frivolous things that government shouldn't be in the business funding with tax dollars, those should all be on the chopping block as we talk about the $14 trillion debt that we're going to hand to our kids and our grandkids. Yes, those are the type of things that, for more than one reason, need to be cut.
The president of the Media Research Center, an organization dedicated to expose liberal bias in the media, released a memo to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, John Boehner, expressing his outrage of Lisa Simone's actions, which he called a clear violation of ethical standards. He then went on to say NPR is a rogue operation which must be eliminated once and for all. It isn't necessary, we can't afford it, and it continues to violate its own ethical standards of nonpartisanship.
She was basically let go because she was part of Occupy DC. In fact, she was on a steering committee, God forbid, and she was also a spokesperson for the October 2011 protest activities, as NPR describes it, so she has been fired. Furthermore, she is also on an opera program called The World of Opera. Now, NPR also wanted to get rid of her from there, and in fact they have, but the local affiliate that actually produces that show has said that they will continue having her host and they will begin to syndicate the program throughout the country. So that's actually good news, right? It's not good news in terms of NPR's reaction, but it's good news that the program will continue through the local affiliate, and I believe, of course, the local affiliate has made the right decision.
NPR's ethical code keeps their employees under strict rules. These rules carry over into employees' personal lives. Although it may seem that an NPR employee can have a personal life outside of work, with all these rules, they must feel the constraint in their activities. Lisa Simone was fired for her participation in Occupy DC, although she had participated in her personal time. Because of these rules, every NPR journalist must think twice about whether or not to do something when they make a decision. NPR even makes clear social media interaction is not private as well, and that their journalists and contributors must be selective when deciding what to display on social media. With ethics codes so strict, journalists are on pins and needles with their actions. However, should they need to be this afflicted? Look at Juan Williams, who was fired from his position as a commentator by NPR because of his remarks made on Fox News. But the fact is that Williams had been working at Fox News for 3 years prior to the incident. Why was objectivity not an issue before then? When Fox News heard of Williams' termination, they offered him a multi-year contract worth more than $2 million. This makes NPR look foolish as conservatives continue to win in their efforts to have NPR shut down by highlighting their mistakes. Lisa Simone faced the harsh backlash of her failure to abide by NPR's code. When you take on a career with an organization such as NPR, you are expected to support that organization inside and out of work. Someone can be fired for almost anything today. In fact, most companies make employees sign employment agreements which state that the employer can terminate the employee at any time for any reason. In defense of NPR, there is a clear code of ethics which states all employees should familiarize themselves with it. Although journalists may plead for their right to express themselves, the fact of the matter is their strict contracts and codes restrict them from making any decisions without thinking twice about the consequences. In this highly competitive field, where everyone is replaceable and news organizations seek to appeal to a mass audience, journalists can only express themselves halfway in their personal lives. Journalists today are expected to remain objective. Regardless, NPR may need to change their codes to avoid any further backlash from conservative parties.